Welcome to Talk to the Future, where the future of sales isn't predicted, it's built. Each episode features real conversations with the operators, marketers, and innovators driving what's next. From AI and automation to the strategies that are converting right now. No fluff, just what's working.
This is Mr. Bigley coming to you live from LeadsCon in Las Vegas. I have Brittany here from the exclusive law firm, Troutman Amin, probably the best law firm for TCPA law in the country. I know they're the most prolific writers for TCPA law in the country. They have more articles than I believe any other law firm out there.
That's right.
So if you want to know about TCPA, go to their TCPA blog and you will find out more than you've ever wanted to know and probably be a little terrified if you didn't know about it already.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I have Brittany on here. Brittany, I'm going to give you the floor. Tell me a little bit about why we should care about TCPA.
Well, the TCPA is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. It's the federal statute that governs how businesses connect with their consumers, right? If you're calling and texting, you should definitely be knowledgeable of the TCPA. It's a strict liability statute, so every call, every violation of the law could be up $500 per call and up to $1,500.
Where do they charge $1,500?
Why do they charge?
No, where?
They charge that to the company.
Everywhere, every state.
Yeah, everywhere. That's across the board.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's $500 per call. So if businesses are caught in a TCPA lawsuit, depending on how many calls they made, it's $500 per call.
Okay.
So businesses that get caught up with the TCPA, unfortunately, these settlements are massive. They're millions and billions of dollars. They could wipe out a business. I've seen plaintiffs' counsels take companies literally into bankruptcy. So it's definitely not something you should mess around and something you should take seriously.
How often do you see someone taken into bankruptcy with something like this?
Too many times. These plaintiffs' counsels are ruthless. They don't care, unfortunately. We have clients that are smaller.
What if I'm a really good guy and I'm personable?
Right. And that's the story that we share, that our clients are good people. They're good actors. And sometimes they get caught up in these situations, unfortunately, but sometimes they just don't care. And it's sad to see, right? You don't want to see a good company go out. Other counsels are a little bit more empathetic, but that's just not the case all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're actually seeing people put into bankruptcy. What are some of the fines that you've seen over the last couple of years?
Well, if you hire us, fortunately, that won't happen, right? We defend you, and we wouldn't settle for something big. But we've seen over $10 million in settlements in the TCPA for just one case. And so
for one case?
For one case.
I thought it was $500 per call. If
Yeah.
I called someone 5 times, why wouldn't it be $2,500? How could it get into the millions?
Good question. So TCPAs, there's class actions enabled. And so one person sues, but they try to find similarly situated individuals that have received similar calls that would make up the class. So it's not just you that is suing. It's 500,000, 6,000 people that have also received illegal calls, and you times that by 500, and that's how you get millions of dollars in exposure.
So that sounds like 250 million if we're at the 1,500 level,
Crazy.
750 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great.
No.
And that's just for calls.
Same. Call and text.
Yeah. So if we've done 100 million phone calls, what's our potential liability?
100 million times 500. Well, the TCPA carries a 4-year statute of limitations, so it's not just every call you've ever made. So the past 4 years, those calls would be at issue.
We started less than 4 years ago.
Okay.
So there's massive potential liability is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So what can you do to avoid this? How do you not end up in the crosshairs of these litigators that may have questionable ethics?
Yeah. Well, I think low-hanging fruit, right? Hire competent, experienced counsel that actually has experience handling TCPA matters. Too many times I've seen clients work with general big law firms that don't know how to deal with the TCPA specifically. So they just honestly don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
So work with experienced counsel.
Big firm with 1,000 lawyers, but no one actually does TCPA.
Correct. And they're trying to, right? But the plaintiff's bar doesn't take them seriously because they don't know what they're doing. They're bringing the wrong arguments. They don't know how to bring the right arguments. And so they'll push the case to class certification. And that's where we see that millions and billions of dollars in exposure. So retain good counsel, hire Troutman Amin. If you'd like, we look at your policies, your procedures, making sure you're working with good vendors, right? If you're doing third-party lead generation, looking at the websites, the disclosures, how your hyperlinks look. It's very granular, but we'll look at all that stuff.
So you kind of went into my next question. We've talked about the liability side. We've talked about why you need to care about this and why it's an existential threat to your business if you don't care about this.
Yeah.
But let's go to the thing that people probably really care about. How do I avoid these massive fines? How do I make sure that I don't get hit by one of these litigators that are going to file 5,000 cases this year or something along those lines?
Yeah. Well, if you're buying third-party leads, as Eric said, you're buying risk. So there's always going to be risk if you're working with third-party vendors. If you are working with third-party vendors, you want to make sure you're vetting them and doing a thorough vetting process, right? Pooja used to work in-house at a big mortgage company, and I remember her telling me that she would have a questionnaire that she'd make her vendors answer to make sure that, you know, they have good websites and disclosures as well. But if it's a first-party lead, then those are much more safe because you have control and visibility over the websites that you're looking at.
So if you're buying third-party leads, do you recommend checking those sites? How do you know that content hasn't changed or the lead is really coming from the site they tell you?
And that's the problem. You'll never really know. They're going to sell you all this data, and there's no way of actually knowing whether that person actually filled out that form. That's the risk with third-party lead data. You can have a good contract, make sure you have indemnification provisions, but that not always carries the day, right? We've seen many lead providers not even come to the table and not, comply with their indemnification provisions, and they just go away. So it's tough.
What do they do? Bankrupt the company, or do they just say, screw you, I'm not paying?
Yeah, they say sometimes the TCPA doesn't fall within the scope of the indemnification provision. They'll go ghost. They'll stop responding. They'll stop being cooperative. So it's unfortunate that that's come to this place. Now, that's not the case for all third-party lead vendors. Some are cooperative and helpful, and they want to play their part and do their part and contribute to anything, but that's just not the case all the time.
That's not the case. So besides doing things in-house and being careful with who you deal with, what do we want to see for legal language on forms? I believe you had a 7-point checklist or a 9-point checklist. I forget exactly how many points there are.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 13. I don't know. Of what you're supposed to do. Could you maybe run through the checklist and tell people what we want to see for a legal lead that's going to be a legal phone call?
Sure. So your disclosure should have at least 9 things. I mean, we call it the Troutman 9. And if you want to see an example of this disclosure, we have a sample on tcpaworld.com. Someone was mentioning that our blog, we post every day. We break down every case that comes out based upon the TCPA. So we have our Troutman 9 there. And there are at least 9 things. I don't have them all memorized, but at least you should have the identification of the seller. There must be a clear way that the consumer knows they're submitting their information and agreeing to terms. The word marketing and promotion should be there. If you're receiving automated calls or pre-recorded calls or texts, the disclosure should also state that. If you want to know about all the rest of the Troutman 9, visit tcpaworld.com.
All right. Any other tips for staying out of trouble and staying compliant besides hiring Troutman?
Hiring Troutman, join Reach. Eric started this nonprofit organization called Reach. It's Responsible Enterprises Against Consumer Harassment. We're trying to gather as much lead buyers as we can to make sure that we have good standards in this industry because, people are buying from bad lead providers. And so we want to create the standard, make sure people are buying good data, have good disclosures, and doing things the right way.
And Brittany, where can everyone find you?
You can find me. My information is on our website, troutmanamine.com. You can also email me. My email is Brittany@troutmanamine.com. We're located in Irvine, California. And we have a conference coming up. It's called the Law Conference of Champions, May 4th through 6th. Tom, I think you're going to be there.
I am going to be there.
It's going to be a great conference. It's 2 days, action-packed. And so if you're interested, let us know.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Talk to the Future, where the future of sales isn't predicted, it's built. If you got value from this episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with your team, and stay connected for more conversations with the people driving what's next. Because what's working tomorrow is already being built today.